Well, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to see you on this Wednesday afternoon. Not quite so sunny here, unfortunately, but we've had a pretty good run of it. So I don't think we can complain too much. So it's lovely to see you, and we're going to have a little tour through some of our favourite English country gardens. Now, this has been one of the perhaps slightly more challenging ones to put forward because there are so many beautiful options across the country. But we're going to share with you some of our favourites, and then we can obviously explore things in more detail when we discuss your clients. So, Lisa, could you just enable the screen sharing? Zoom have changed the rules about screen sharing. I think they have so many more um, people using it now that they've updated it a little bit. So a little bit of England's green and pleasant land. Now, the wonderful thing about the gardens is that they're obviously attached to some rather beautiful houses. So we'll be delighted to really cherry pick the houses and the gardens and so on that really match what your clients are looking for. And because we do have such good contacts and so on in the houses and managing the estates, we can usually find somebody to give the guided tour that really has the inside knowledge and so on. So can give them a fabulous perspective on the garden. So we're going to travel around the country a little bit just to share with you all of the different types of gardens, because itineraries that we've put together in the past have either asked for a real sort of theme of we want very much the English country garden, or they've wanted to see a whole sort of spectrum of different styles and so on. So um, we've included all of the above in today's presentation and focused on, as you can see, these areas. So mainly relatively south, although we do go a little bit further north in the Cotswolds, and we have to include the stunning county of Yorkshire. It may take 2 or 3 hours to get up there, but it's well worth the visit. I might be slightly biased. My father comes from Yorkshire, and so all of my life I've heard that it's a very special county. So starting off in London and around, probably a starting point for many of your clients if they're landing at Heathrow. There really are some beautiful gardens very close to central London. I mean, all of these, with the exception of the Sky Garden, are all within probably 35, 45 minutes from the centre of town. So Kew is incredible. And if you've got somebody who perhaps hasn't got the time to explore a lot of the countryside, but really does love their gardens, we really recommend a visit to Kew. They can do the treetop walk. There are so many different aspects to Kew, and whether it's a couple or a family, it really does have something for everyone. Savile Gardens, I think, is probably one of our favourites, just across the way at Windsor. And sadly, I haven't been over there this year because it would be, and I'm sure is, an absolute sea of colour. So and really is very special and well worth a visit. So there are some lovely opportunities pretty close to London that we will very happily share. Oh, the Sky Garden, which is the one as central as you can get, is quite incredible. They do claim to have the best view across the whole of London, and they're probably not far off. It's certainly up there, and it's extraordinary to walk around and look through the glass. Gardens are amazing, and you can eat and drink up there as well. So again, well worth a visit. So starting off in the Cotswolds, as you can imagine, pretty much every Cotswold village you go into, your clients will see beautiful English country gardens. There's a huge amount of love, time, and effort that have gone into making these gardens. But some of the really famous ones. I mean, Kifsgate is incredible, and we will happily arrange a tour with Anne Chambers. It's a famous garden for having three generations of female gardeners, apologies, who have tended it and looked after it. And um, we there's a strong belief that whereas Kifsgate is quite a feminine garden, Hidcote, which was designed by a chap, is a far more masculine garden. I don't feel quite expert enough to form an opinion, but enough people in the know have said that Kifsgate is very feminine. And the difference about Kifsgate is that they haven't tried to create something with lots of mature planting. They've really allowed the organic growth and evolution of the garden rather than revolution. And whereas we know our dear friend Capability Brown, who has shown his incredible genius at Blenheim and Highclere, just to name a couple, he very much created a landscape that wasn't there before. Kifsgate is very much the opposite of that. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're mainly in the sort of North Cotswolds, with the exception of Westonbirt Arboretum, which is one of the most famous arboretums in the country. It was developed by Lord Holford, who had the adjacent stately home at Westonbirt, which I have to declare an interest. It was then turned into a school, and that's where I was very lucky enough to go to school. But the Arboretum is quite spectacular, and has some incredibly rare trees. Is beautifully designed. I mean, even to the untrained eye, you can see how incredibly clever they've been in designing the specific areas within the arboretum. And in the autumn, as you can imagine, it absolutely comes into its own. And they do the most incredible sort of themed walks with all of the special lighting and so on. So if you have any of your clients planning to come over at that time of year, sort of September into October, it's absolutely stunning. And you've got Calcutta Manor just down the road, literally about 3 miles down the road. So they've got somewhere nice to go and stay afterwards. Although they do serve a rather fabulous afternoon tea at Westonbirt as well. So some lovely different styles on offer. And then if we go across the Chilterns, I mean, we talked about Wadston. The gardens are quite magnificent. It's a really special place to go, and equally the estate that is adjacent to Cliveden House Hotel is owned by the National Trust. It's their second most visited property in the country, I think, and it has about 360 odd acres of incredible parkland. And again, some of it is sort of sweeping parkland that goes down to the river, which is stunning, and some of it is more the more ornate gardens with the beautifully designed parterre that is just out at the back of the building. So Cliveden is stunning. Hewenden, I think, is one of my favourites. I studied the wonders Benjamin Disraeli and his time as Prime Minister 4 times in the late 19th century, and it was Mary Ann who really put her mark on the gardens at Hughenden Manor, which is just a little bit further north. I mean, still only probably just over an hour or so from London. And it's just glorious. She very much said that she was trying to create a rural retreat for her dear husband, who was in the midst of all the politics and the shenanigans in London, and she wanted somewhere for him to be able to come and relax. And the walled garden has some of the most incredible varieties of plums and apples. The orchards are just beautiful. There's a very Italian style parterre. It's lovely. She did an incredible job. So when he wasn't schmoozing Queen Victoria, because apparently he was Queen Victoria's favourite prime minister, he spent a lot of time, his relaxation time up at Hughenden. Cheynes Manor is famous for the tulips. So obviously not so much this year, but if you've got some clients coming over in March, April time next year, the tulips are a sight to behold. Cheynes is slightly smaller, but it's one of my personal favourites. I love all the colours and so on. And again, that's just an hour or so from London. And we do quite a lot at the Cheynes estate, because it's one of the beautiful venues where we will quite often arrange just a whole day for a family doing clay shooting and falconry and archery and all those sorts of things. And it's even got a maze as well. So the children always love getting lost safely, I hasten to add, in the maze. West Green is a really special one. It's not too far to south, down in Hampshire, so probably an hour and a half or so from London. But not only does it have the beautiful gardens, but it is famous for its season of opera that it puts on in July every year. And they've had some incredible performances there. And they describe it as the place for music, food, drink, and elegance. So a rather wonderful way to spend an English summer's day and then into the evening. So exploring the garden, having a delicious dinner, either a fabulous picnic or a sit down dinner, enjoying some stunning music, and then after the opera has finished, they illuminate the gardens, and they've got pretty well practiced at it now. They've been doing it for about 20 years, and golly, they do an amazing job. So hopefully next summer, if you've got clients coming over, even if they're not huge garden fans, it's a very small version of Glyndebourne or Garsington, two of the other big stately home type operatic settings. So it really is just lovely. And then I mean, the others are all gorgeous. Mottisfont is most famous for being rather beautifully English and old-fashioned. It has one of the most spectacular rose gardens in the country, and it's the show of colour every year is absolutely beautiful. It's a bit further south in Hampshire, down towards Southampton, but maybe if we're doing it either as part of an English country gardens tour, or the literary tour, including all of the wonders of Jane Austen in and around Hampshire, well worth a trip to Mottisfont, because it really is just lovely. I'm not going to list them all, but we just wanted to share with you the sheer scale of it all. Now, Devon and Cornwall, it's a little bit different, and some fabulous opportunities down there. The Eden Project, you may well have visited, you may well be aware, but is the most incredible creation. Apparently, the initial designs were drawn on a napkin in about 1995, something like that, and it finally opened its doors in 2001. And it's a series of these huge, absolutely huge biodomes that have been built over a crater that was a China mine for many years, and they describe it as the largest living rainforest in captivity. So it's all the things that you certainly wouldn't expect to see in our lovely country over here, because we haven't got the climate. You'd expect to see it more maybe in South America and so on. But it is just fabulous. And again, there are so many different things that you can do at the Eden Project. There's something for all ages. They put on fabulous concerts there now and so on. So if you've got somebody vaguely interested in gardens and they're heading down to Cornwall, you can't really miss the Eden Project. We do quite strongly recommend, if at all possible, missing the summer holidays. So July and August, it is very busy because it's our school holidays at that time. And the Lost Gardens of Heligan were established by the same chap, Sir Tim Smith, who seriously loves his gardens, thank the Lord. And they were brought back to life, having been they lay undiscovered for decades and decades, and they've been restored. And the Queen Mother's Lake has some of the most incredible flora and fauna surrounding it, and all of the woodland and so on. And again, the orchards are some of the best in the country. And I rather love the idea of Tresco, because Tresco is on an island. So your clients will either have to get on a little ferry, which is a short and sweet journey, or they can jump on a helicopter. And it's just absolutely glorious. It's a an island garden, basically, right down as far south, pretty much, as you can get off the coast of Cornwall. But it really is truly magnificent. And Barbara Hepworth, a very famous down there, and a marvelous, amazing combination of art and gardens. So a real treat to behold. And then finally, heading a little bit up north. I mean, it's easy to get up to Yorkshire by train or car or helicopter, depending on your clients. It's about a 3-hour drive, something like that. Now, your clients may well be familiar with Castle Howard, because it was used as the main location for the amazing series of Brideshead Revisited, which was several years ago, but never runs out of appeal. But more recently in the Victoria, the series about Queen Victoria, and they used it a lot. And I mean, it's a stunning house to visit. But the gardens are really magnificent, and the lake immediately behind the house, with all of the fountains and so on, is it really is a sight to behold. As is Harlow Carr, which is again a more traditional English garden. I mean, it is genuinely described as the garden for all seasons. So it doesn't matter when your clients are with us. If they want to see a fabulous example of an English country garden, then Harlow Carr is definitely well worth a visit. So I hope you've enjoyed our little tour around the countryside with some of our favourite gardens. Now, we can create an itinerary for you in the way that absolutely suits your clients. But if you've got some real gardening experts who want the inside knowledge and want to be taken around with an expert. There, I mean, these are just three of our favourites. Alternatively, obviously, we as at Kiftsgate, um, to have Anne Chambers showing them around is the preferred option. But if they would like a real gardening expert, then we know some pretty good people. I know I keep going on about how well connected we are, but we can certainly draw out some fabulous gardening experts who will really bring it alive. Alternatively, our guides that we use that are slightly more generalists but know the history of the houses and the gardens will do a fabulous job. So it depends on what your clients are looking for, as always. And it's a bit difficult to do a day's itinerary for you because it really depends on what they're looking for. But so we thought we would share with you an example of an itinerary that we did create for some clients who were really looking for a fabulous gardening tour of England. So they wanted to head up into the North Cotswolds for a bit and go to Kifsgate and Hidcote, and then gradually made their way down south through Devon and into Cornwall. Now they really wanted to see a lot of gardens, as you can see. We can do as many or as few as you would like. But the wonderful thing about ending up down in the south of Cornwall is they can easily jump on an internal flight from Newquay, which will take them back up to Heathrow, or obviously they can get back by car, train, or helicopter, whatever their preference. But that will give you a feel for, excuse me, the types of itinerary that we could put together for a gardening lover or garden loving client of yours. Now, very sadly, most of these events have been had to be cancelled this year. Chelsea Flower Show has only ever been cancelled once before, and that was in 1941, in the heart of the Second World War. So it was absolutely huge, a huge decision to cancel it. But if your clients just want to have a little taste of it, they can go on the Royal Horticultural Society, the RHS website, and see some of the streaming of the different gardens and the prize giving, all of which still went on. It was just obviously closed to the public this time. So there are a whole number of fabulous large and small garden shows throughout the season. So if whenever your clients are coming over, we will happily recommend if the best one location wise and timing wise. And there's apparently, and I don't know if you've discovered this and your clients may be aware of it, there's a new Netflix program called the Big Flower Fight, apparently, and is the equivalent. We've had the Great British Bake Off over here. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those episodes, but lots of people baking cakes. So this is lots of people planting gardens and so on. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen any episodes yet, but apparently it's lots of fun. So again, one to recommend to your gardening loving clients if they're interested. And one of the wonderful things about Chelsea is that it's a perfect combination of flowers, of art, and fabulous food as well. Raymond Blanc has been involved in Chelsea for years now, and the menus that he creates every year are absolutely wonderful. So whenever we have clients going to Chelsea, we always recommend booking a lunch or an afternoon tea in Raymond Blanc's restaurant there, because it is absolutely stunning. And I think his description of it just makes you want to go and try out all of his lovely produce that he's turned into something magnificent. And a few pictures from Chelsea of some of the beautiful examples. I'd love to say my garden looked like that, but not quite so spectacular. But work in progress. We'll get there eventually. So lots of opportunities oh, another fabulous picture. Well done, Lisa. Um, uh, Lots of opportunities for your garden loving clients to make a whole itinerary or just part of their visit over here. So I hope we've given you in that a flavour for all of the different varieties, but also the different levels depending on just how knowledgeable they are and what they want to get out of their visit over here. As always, we build it around your clients. So apparently Zoom have changed the muting system. So if you do have any questions, please just either wave or put it in the chat box, and we will happily answer for you. But Lisa isn't able to unmute you all without your permission. Apparently, they're getting a little bit stricter, obviously, with their new um, with the sheer number of people now making use of it. No, I think we've obviously done our job, so that's good news. Well, again, a huge thank you for joining us. It's been lovely to see you. We really do appreciate you coming along for all of our events. It's great fun putting them together and sharing all of the ideas with you. Now, we'd love to see you again on. Well, pleasure, Anna. Thank you. We'd love to see you on Friday. Golly, the end of another week. And we're going to be talking about water sports. We're not going to have, thank you, Ginger and Todd, appreciate that. Um, we're not going to have people water skiing down the River Thames, and we don't mean water sports in that respect. But there are all sorts of things available across the English countryside. So we'll be sharing some of the more active ones and some of the more relaxing versions of the water sports over here. So we'll hope to see you on Friday. Thanks so much, and have a lovely rest of the day and evening. And we'll see you Friday. Thank you. Bye.